Welcome to Tech Ties and Human Vibes, where we explore the tech that powers modern businesses and drives innovation. I'm Adam, and with me is Nancy. We'll be talking to entrepreneurs, innovators, and industry experts about the tools they use, the challenges they face, and how technology is shaping the future of work. Let's dive in.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Tech Ties and Human Vibes. I am your host, Nancy Henriquez, and of course, with me here is Adam.
Hey, how's it going, guys? And we also have Thomas.
We also have
guys.
Thomas, our special guest, Thomas. And guys, I have to tell you that this is a really special treat for me as well as for you guys. I'm telling y'all just because you have to know that because Thomas is my executive coach. He helped me through so many problems, so many hurdles, and I had to share him with you guys. So I can't keep him to myself. He needs to help others too. So Thomas, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Nancy and Adam. This is great. I love it. I think the most important thing to say as we start is, like you said, maybe that's the stage of my life or something. I can't even tell. I just love to help people and businesses, and that's what kind of my business life is turning to. I have a banking background. That's how my career started over in Germany. Then I tumbled into the steel business by accident. I did that for 20 years. And now one of my focuses besides the steel business is EOS, where I coach businesses on how to run a better business and frankly live a better life. And I work with the leadership teams of the businesses that I'm engaged with. And I do executive coaching. So I work with business owners one-on-one to help them through different challenges. Most of it business related, a lot of it is about we don't sell enough, we're not making any money. We have struggling with the leadership side of it. Something's wrong. I don't get through to my people. There is a communication issue, but I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. So yeah, that's what I love to do and what I get into more and more.
Well, I got a question. Can I just dive right into questions right now because I've got one?
Okay, shoot.
So Thomas, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, I'm a small business owner, and let's even go a little bit more granular and say that I'm an MSP, right? I'm a managed service provider. I have maybe one employee, two employees, whatever. I'm really not thriving yet. In that world, in the small business world, not even just the MSP world, sometimes you're told the business owner's told to be a salesman. Sometimes they're told to be a marketing person. Sometimes they're told to be the leader. What could I do to figure out what I'm good at to help me be that person? Because maybe I'm not a sales guy. Maybe I'm not like the leader, like that great leader Nancy is, right? Maybe I'm not that person.
Mm-hmm.
How could what practices could I do to help me figure that out?
Oh God! Sorry, I'm gonna have to jump in first and say you have to start off with the meat. You couldn't give him an easy question.
No, man, I went straight for it.
I like that. First of all, I want to say, Adam, this is very loaded, right? But no worries, you're perfectly normal. So you're fine. We're gonna figure it out. Don't worry. At the end of it, everything is good. If it's not yet good, it's not yet the end. That's where I start off. So what I learned in my Coactive coaching journey, and Coactive is just the organization that I got my coaching education and got certified as a coach before I got my ACC credential with the International Coaching Federation. And the firm belief we start everything out with is that everybody's naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. So everybody's fine the way they are. And I know a lot of introverts that run awesome businesses. And so you don't have to be an extrovert to run a great business and get your hands around sales and stuff. Like there's something for everybody. The key is really, Adam, what you were kind of touching on is you'll have to make some definitions, right, for yourself. You have to figure out what you're good at. Well, How do you figure out what you're good at? The one thing I will tell you is, it's like, imagine you want to lose 20 pounds. What are you going to start doing? Well, you kind of diligently write down everything you stuff in your mouth morning to night for a week or so, and you figure out how many calories that is. You figure out what your calorie budget is, and then you adjust. You eat less, you eat healthier, you eat more green stuff with less calories, whatever it is. And on the business side, it's the exact same thing. So for one, you define what the time capacity is you have. So if you're a 40-hour work week guy, you have 40 hours. If you're a 60-hour work week guy, you have 60 hours. And if you have 80 hours of work that you try to cram into your 50-hour week because of, you have kids, you need family time, you need 8 hours of sleep, there's only so much you can do. So that's the point where you think, okay, I have to unload some stuff and I have to have somebody else do it. Then the question becomes, okay, what do I unload? So where this all start is going back to your work calorie budget, if you will. Just take a piece of paper and a pen, and for 2 weeks, every day, just write down what you do. Be very diligent, write it all down. And then you kind of draw up this quadrant where you put in different quadrants. Here is what you love to do, what you're really good at. Here's what you love to do, what you're not good at. Here's what you don't like, but you're good at. And here's what you don't like, and you're just crappy at. So everything below the line, you want to delegate, and you want to start with this: I'm not good at this, and I don't like it. Eventually you want to do the stuff in the top 2 boxes, right? I like it and I'm good at it. I like it and I'm not really good at it. And so you just pick whatever you have on your list of the 2 weeks. You put these in the 4 boxes, and then you start with the kind of bottom right for me here, where you just delegate the stuff to other people that you don't like and you're not good at. That frees up some of your time, and over time, obviously, that gets you into your, what I would call, zone of genius. So that's a way to kind of get rules.
So by doing that exercise, I could totally see how that would tell you, what path you should take. That makes a lot of sense. I have never heard anybody put it as like a diet program.
Yeah, and it's fairly. I mean, most of, honestly, like EOS, right? I always refer back to EOS because most of the cool stuff you can do is not rocket science. It's really easy. It's been around for 100 years, but nobody ever tells you. And if you don't talk to the right people, you'll never learn about it. It's all out there. Some of it is for free. For some of it, you just need outside help because, you could read a million books. Certain things you just won't apply if there is no accountability, meaning somebody from the outside saying, "Come on, Adam, now we're going to do this. And I want you to send me your scorecard every Friday where I can see what actions have you taken." And so that's another important part where I could tell you everything I want. If you don't do it, nothing's going to change, right? So the accountability factor, like having somebody by your side, that might be your spouse, your kid, your coworker, or your coach. Like I had the honor to be in Nancy's case, where that just is, you get the pressure to a level that's doable, but it gets you to do certain things and gets you thinking about things. And then you said you had the example, if it's me or 2 people or 3 people, if it's you, and then there's your spouse and she helps out once in a while, or he helps out once in a while, well, that's probably somebody that can take on some of these tasks. If you grow, and when you grow, because now you give a little bit of the shitty stuff away, you can do more of the good stuff. Guess what? You'll make more business. Doing more business, you make more money. So now you can probably go to one of these platforms, whatever they are, and hire some outside help, like as a fractional person, right? Have somebody help you with marketing. Have somebody help you with programming. Have somebody help you with outreach. Have somebody help you with sales, whatever that area is that you're not really good at. So then you grow further. Now you can hire another person into your business that takes some of that stuff. And that's kind of the step-by-step. It's like following a cookie recipe, right? You just go step by step, you mix the stuff together, and in the end of the day, you get some awesome cookies out of the oven.
Okay, but we are human, right?
We are. Well,
I don't know about y'all, but I don't tend to follow recipes very well.
And
I
that's
don't follow
honestly,
directions very well.
I think that's one of the main reasons why coaches exist. And I'm very thankful to everybody who's not following recipes, Nancy, because that keeps me in business. It's just how it works. And by the way, I've been coached for the last 15 years, and I love my coach dearly. I've had the same coach for the last 3 to 4 years. She's just awesome. And without her, I wouldn't be where I am. So, although I can do this with other people, I have a hard time doing it for myself in certain areas. That's where I just need the help and the accountability partner, and somebody who drives that, and like a sounding board, that
Same. I
helps
mean,
me get there.
Adam mentioned, you're not a leader like me or whatever, but I didn't get here overnight. I had Thomas's help for sure, along with countless others that helped me in so many ways. But part of that was assessing those strengths and those weaknesses, ultimately speaking. I mean, I can tell you I was am terrified of public speaking, right? And you're like, you host a podcast and you're on stage now. And if it wasn't for me saying, like, there is something that is calling me to do that, although I am terrified, I wouldn't be able to do it. And so, and I probably wouldn't be able to do it from my own will. I need help, someone to push me and to give me that accountability aspect also. So otherwise, I I don't know how we would get anything done. I mean, players, I go back to basketball often because my son is in basketball. And I think basketball has a lot of correlation to life in general. But players don't they have a coach that continues to coach them along the way as they play every game. It's not
Yeah.
like they have, a coach disappears after a certain amount of time. No, it's continuous work. The players wouldn't be able to be at their excellence if it wasn't for that. So
Yeah, and that's like any area in life, right? The coaching thing is, my example is always, look, you can't be a part of the system, of a system, and understand that system at the same time. To use your analogy, Nancy, you can't be on the court and play and kind of have the big picture overview from the sideline at the same time. That's not working. Like, if you're on the court and I'm on the sideline, you see the game totally different from what I'm seeing as the coach.
Yeah.
And that's how this works, because you're more, well, probably we're equally emotionally involved, but you're right, you're in it. You're thinking about, scoring the next point, and this and this, and who is around you and how you have to interact with them. So you don't see the big strategic picture. For that, you really have to kind of step out and look at that from the bird's eye view. And that's, to your point again, Adam, that's where many people are struggling, right? You're just digging your heels in, you're doing what you have to do, you're working crazy hours to get your business going, and you never come up for a breather. It's this, again, in EOS, we have this analogy where there's a crew cutting away through the jungle. And every once in a while, the crew leader has to get up on a tree and make sure they're still cutting a straight line, and then go in a circle. And like after a month, hit their starting point, because they just cut a beautiful circle through the jungle. So you have to kind of come up and look and make sure, okay, this is still where I want to go here. And that's what a coach does, pull you out there.
I was going to say, as a coach, I like the analogy how you said you're looking at it from a complete view. I like that, because as a basketball coach, right? My son also, our sons are not the same age. I realize this, Nancy. My son was playing in little basketball world, but yeah, there's still, the coach stood on the sidelines, right? And he could see the whole game.
Yeah.
Where my son could only see what was in front of him. Like the whole saying goes, you can't see the forest from the trees in front of you.
Yeah.
right, you see your role. You're seeing what is in front of you at that moment, what you're concentrating on, which is, going back to your original question, as an MSP owner, as someone that may be more introverted than extroverted, or whose strengths may lie more so on solving problems rather than talking about them. Right? That's something that becomes crucial, in that sense that you're facing the problems, you're facing the customers, you're facing so many things that are coming at you. But how do you then focus in on what you're good at and what you want to do. To go back to that question of, do you have to be your own salesperson? Do you have to be the first salesperson? Or is it okay to take a step back and hire someone else to do that for you? How do you make those choices?
And that just depends on the individual situation, right? Usually what happens in a small business, and the smaller the business, the more hats you wear. And you even see that in organizations that probably have, like when I go into an organization and we start talking and they have like, say, 40, 50 people. The owner will still probably be partially in the sales seat, and he'll probably kind of have one foot on the finance side and do a little bit of accounting work. But at that point, they're probably using an outside accounting firm as like a fractional helper until they get to the 100-person where they hire somebody for that work. So that's, again, it's these same steps. And I've seen it in different industries, across different industries. I've seen it across different geographics in Europe and here in the US, where it always goes in these increments. And some people just, well, it's a concept of hitting the ceiling, right? So you go to a certain level and all of a sudden you hit the ceiling and you don't get any further because what got you here won't get you over that hump. And then one of three things happen. One, you figure out how to go through the ceiling and get to the next level until you hit the next ceiling. Second thing, you just, flatten out and you just stay at that level. And the third thing is you take a dive, which happens to more than 50% of the businesses that start up every year. There's so many businesses that don't make it through the first year. And that's the exact reason. And what you have to do is you have to keep working on your structure, for one. So you have to be clear on, okay, what setup do I need to get to that next phase? Like what structure in my company, meaning away from people, that's the second step. What structure gets me to that next level? And once you have figured out the structure, you see how you fill these spots where you fit in as the owner, and then there's some empty spots where you need help. And you have to figure out who that does that, right? And then the second important thing is simplify it and dumb it down. There is this complexity model where if it's two people, you have two lines of communication, right? Going from one to the other two. So if it's three people, all of a sudden you have 6 lines of communication, which you add 50%, but you have 200% more ways to communicate. If you add a fourth person, it's 600% more ways to communicate within that organization. So you have to be real mindful of that is totally disproportional, right? Communication and the ways of communication. As you add single people, you think, well, it's just one more person, but it really blows up the whole system in a way that you have to make a conscious effort to dumb it down and keep it as simple as you can. And again, it's not a hard to understand concept. It's been around for 100 years, but many people just let it go and don't put effort into consistent effort into simplifying things, procedures, and how things are being done and who does what, and be intentional about things, right? And that just makes things complicated and fluffs up the whole system with a lot of things you don't really need or that are not helpful for you to reach your goals.
Is it the same process? I gave the scenario, I was an MSP and wanted to grow my business and didn't know how, blah, blah, blah. Is it the same process if I'm working for an employee or an employer and I want to grow in the company, but maybe there's no room for growth in the company, and you're going to help me figure that out if I should move on to another company or how to grow in the company? Does it look the same?
Well, if that's what you want and you come to me, yeah, I'll help you figure it out. The one thing I'll say is that that's the two ways, right? You either can grow in that company and you figure out how you do that. Number one. Number two, you switch to a different company. I'm a big fan and proponent of addressing what's at hand and trying to make it work, unless there is something like toxic and you really don't like about the company. That's a totally different story. That's an immediate no-no. But if you like the people, if you like the environment, if you like the industry you're in, you should give it a try and figure out a way to do it. And that's where you kind of start coaching up, is what I would call it. So you have a sit down with the owner and say, look, this is what I'm thinking. And I think I've been looking at what you do the last 2 weeks. I've been looking at what I'm doing, what's on our plates. I've been thinking about where we want to go from our discussions, and I have a couple ideas. And what I would do then, if that's what you want to do with being a coach, is walk through a couple scenarios. We could role play some scenarios. So I'll help people kind of gain some confidence in what they're about to do. Be a little hard on them sometimes, like be the devil's advocate, right? So they get some, it's a safe room to play certain things out and see what happens. And then you can go into these discussions with confidence, because that's what somebody wants to see. If I was a business owner, Adam, and you were my employee, and you were come in there and I could see the cold sweat on your forehead already, it's like, okay, I mean, I don't know. Does he know what he's doing here and what he's suggesting? Or you come in, that piece of paper tucked under your arm, you're full of confidence, and you're leaning forward to me when you talk to me, and you're all in, and I can see the excitement in your eyes. Different story.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like, well, I don't feel like, I know that you are a wealth of information, and I think that you have some great tips to give, some concrete tips that someone can actually make actionable for themselves. But I'm going to leave that as a teaser here in this podcast episode. So for those that want to hear those tips, here's what you got to do. You have to head over to civilconsultinggroup.com, and on the top right-hand corner, there's a little button that says community. Go ahead and click on that, join the community today, and that is where you're going to get those actionable steps from Thomas on how to determine what best course of action it is for you to take within your business. If you're trying to decide, where should you be putting your best efforts, or if you're trying to figure out what you're best at and what you should be doing. So don't let anyone else tell you what you should be doing. Figure it out for yourself, right? Like I tell my kids all the time, advocate for yourself. You are your best advocate. So make sure you do that. So head on over to civilconsultinggroup.com.
Heading over there right now. I want to go see these tips, so I am literally going over there right now.
Join Adam in doing that. And get those tips from the community. You'll see them right there. So Thomas, thank you so much for being here with us today. Any last words, or how can people reach out to you?
Well, you can head over to civilconsulting.com, sign up there. There's a top button in the top right, and then you can just engage with Nancy and Adam, and they'll tell you how to reach me. Or they could just give me a call, 219-743-6749, or email me under thomas@rechtinconsult.com. And rechtinconsult.com is also my website. So if you want to check me out before you give me a call, go to that website and see for yourself.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.